If you want to replace your bathroom sink stopper, perhaps the finish on it is marred, and it's installed so that you can't just lift the stopper out of the drain hole, it's not too difficult to remove the old one and install a new one. If you look under the sink, you're likely to find a setup that looks something like this. There'll be an adjustable strap with one end connected to the lift rod on the faucet and the other end onto a pivot rod inside of the drain mechanism. When the lift rod on the faucet is pushed up and down, it moves this pivot rod. On the inside of the drain, there's another end to the pivot rod. The end of the pivot rod passes through the loop in the end of the stopper. When the pivot rod moves up and down, it raises and lowers the stopper. To free up the stopper, we'll have to remove the pivot rod from the body of the drain. Mark the location where the faucet's lift rod is connected to the adjustable strap. If you don't do this, you'll have to do an extra step when you reassemble everything and adjust the mechanism so that the stopper moves up and down in the correct range. Disconnect the lift rod from the adjustable strap by turning the nut counterclockwise. Turn the nut on the pivot rod counterclockwise. If it's metal, you may need a wrench to loosen it. If it's plastic, it's likely you'll just be able to turn the nut by hand. Remove the pivot rod from the drain. Be careful when you remove the pivot rod, especially on the metal drains. There may be small pieces inside, and you want to put them back in the proper place and order when you reassemble the pivot rod. Now that the pivot rod end is removed from the loop on the end of the stopper, you can remove it from the drain. If you can't get a hold of it, a little suction cup placed on top of the stopper will help you get a hold of it. Insert the new stopper. When you install the new stopper, you can choose to make it removable or non-removable. If you line up the loop in the stopper so that the pivot rod goes through it, it'll be non-removable. If you turn it 90 degrees and put the pivot rod through, then it'll be removable and it'll raise up and down by riding on top of the end of the pivot rod. Install the pivot rod into the drain body. Turn the nut clockwise, and the tighter that you make this nut, the more resistance there is. Tighten the nut until you have the desired tension on the action of the pivot rod. Connect the lift rod from the faucet onto the proper location on the adjustable strap and turn it clockwise to tighten it. There's no need to over tighten it, just so that it's snug. You don't want to strip the connection. Test your work. I hope you found this video helpful. A thumbs up is always appreciated. Click on the channel name, Know How Now, to find other videos, and thanks for watching.